this is Mr. Joe LaTour with LaTour Asset Management. Good to see you once again.
You too, Tom.
I'm going to talk, I don't know if I've spoken with you about this before, but investing. What is the difference between active and passive investing? Because I've heard both terms.
Well, you know what? That's a really good question. I know I say that all the time because you always ask really good questions.
I try.
So let's just talk about this for a second. Okay, so passive investment, okay, when does that make sense for an individual? Passive investment would be investing in something like a passive index like the S&P 500.
Okay.
It's 500 of America's strongest companies. It is the backbone of America, and it is the benchmark of most indexes out there today. Mm-hmm. So either buying a mutual fund or the mutual fund of the 21st century, an exchange-traded fund that's more tax efficient than a mutual fund.
Okay.
Okay. Trades like a stock. There's many, many benefits of an ETF over a mutual fund. So an ETF that represents the entire S&P 500. You buy one ETF, you got 500 of America's strongest companies.
Okay.
Very, very reasonable cost-wise. And so if you're that young investor and you can't afford a lot of fees and different things like that, you can just hook to that benchmark through an ETF and let the backbone of America, 500 of America's strongest companies, carry you. And over time, the S&P outperforms everything.
Yes. Well, they always go. They look to the S&P.
Absolutely.
So that's just something where you're saying, I'm investing in everyone. I'm investing in the movement of the S&P, not individual.
Exactly.
All right. Now, you described passive is aggressive. I mean, not aggressive, but active. Is that just the opposite?
Well, it can be aggressive. It depends upon the individual,
true.
right? It depends upon their risk tolerance and their goals and their objectives. But active investment is this. Okay, I would rather pay an advisor a fee because there, many times advisors were using investment models, and I would say, hey, think about using a fee-based portfolio to where you're paying a flat fee that is actively managed, okay, by certified financial analysts, by investment advisor representatives, that maybe a fee of 1%, between 1 and 2%, something like that. And regardless of how many times there's buying and selling that goes on in that active management, you're not paying the advisor a new fee. Okay, be careful about just buying front-end loaded funds and different things like that would leave room for an advisor to possibly what's called churn your account. In other words, you come into my office, I sell you a front-end load mutual fund, you pay 5 3/4% front-end load. 3 months later, I said, hey, Tom, this is a really hot mutual fund. Let's sell this one and buy this other one. You're paying another 5 3/4% right up front.
Okay.
So from the standpoint of a fiduciary, fee-based money management is in the best interest of the client, so that regardless of how many times that portfolio under active management needs to be repositioned, rebalanced, you're not paying the advisor a new fee. It removes any chance of churning the account for the advisor to take advantage of the investor.
So it's not commission-based. I mean, a fiduciary doesn't work that way. It is
not commission-based. That is correct.
Okay. All right. So the best thing that I could see after everything you just started telling me, find an expert who can, because whether it's active or passive, the expert can steer you the best way for yourself.
Absolutely, Tom. And one other thing, it could be that a hybrid strategy of some both active and passive might be the best thing for you. And coming into a professional that really is a fiduciary, that has a legal responsibility to do what's in your best interest, sit down and get all of your particulars in making recommendations for you is critical.
And there he is, with your interest in mind, Joe LaTour.